Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is November 22nd, 2020. A lot of twos today. So Howard, at this point, do you think it's better to own Ethereum or Bitcoin? Or neither?
My puppy just came out. I think it's a really good question. I have some Ethereum that I've been trading just because I'm bored. I have Robinhood. So I'm not trading actual Ethereum, I'm trading the proxy on Robinhood a lot, just for fun. Directionally long for the last 200-300. Oh, look who someone just came in the background.
One of your girlfriends, right? With the many.
The harem. But so I'm directionally very long Bitcoin still, as you know, and I put some on the other side. And what's different about this rally, I keep telling people, is that up to 2017, I was giddy and checking my account all the time. And this time I haven't looked in months. I just, every dip I keep buying. My kids have been buying $100 a month for a couple of years. It's just adding up for everybody. And no one's looking to sell, at least that I know of. So I'm super bullish. Ethereum, the more I research, the more I get confused, because from the people that I've given money to actually do crypto, they don't think Ethereum, that's my dog, sorry. They don't, Lindsay, they don't think Ethereum's a sure thing, and I worry about the supply, but supposedly Ethereum's burning off a ton of their supply as costs as they gets produced or mined. So, oh, my dog got a chew toy. Hang on. You can't outsmart Howard. So, so I'm long, but it's really Bitcoin. All right, so let's go to the market.
Got it. So some crazy times.
And I will say this, Ivan, sorry. I'll say this about the Bitcoin. I hope it just stays right here for years and years and years. I don't think it's that good if Bitcoin goes to 50,000 short term. What is that saying about the US dollar? And I own a little GLD as well. And my buddies at the Bitcoin Trust, like you just had Grayscale up, just the inflow of money into Grayscale has just been astounding. So I'm really happy for them. But you can see, if you go back on a weekly or a monthly, you can see how the drawdown on GBTC. Oh, so I did not know that. So it's a pretty good proxy, I guess. Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congrats to the people that bought it at 5. That turned out to be a phenomenal proxy. Okay. Yeah. So GBTC is not trading at much of a premium, I guess.
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't checked. It usually trades at a pretty steep.
But I'm saying it's trading, Bitcoin's almost at an all-time high, so is GBTC. So
yeah.
dollar for dollar, it's not that big a difference. Very interesting.
Percentage-wise, I guess you're correct. So last week was crazy about anything that was related to electric vehicles, especially Chinese electric vehicles. I mean, not only just last week, just the past few months has been on fire. And for whatever reason, the market is just giving some insane valuations to those companies that some of them don't even have any production yet. But, as we know, the market is forward looking. Sometimes the market just goes crazy to the one side, and then at some point that pendulum will swing back a little bit. But last week, it wasn't really only electric vehicles. It was just anything related to,
oh my goodness,
EV. I saw quite a few stocks doubling actually last week. It was just pretty crazy.
Are you in this? Are you in this one?
Not right now. I mean, I've been taking profits in a lot of those names. Like I own a couple of the specs in that field, especially GMHI as well. Had a big Friday.
Oh my goodness.
So anything related in that field, like clean energy, electric vehicles.
My friend Brenna got me into fuel cell that I shared on the stream, FCEL.
More than double too.
Doubled, yeah. I had a good week. I mean, that was one I shared publicly. I rarely share speculative ideas, but that one worked. Mhm.
So anything related to
Yeah, I own that
fuel
too.
cells, hydrogen.
I mean,
So
these have been around in the 90s. These things were, if you go back to the monthlies, these things were trading in the 90s. Like in 1990, these were bubble stocks.
correct. Wow.
Like, yeah. So people think I have a memory for this stuff. Like these are all-time highs. Forget the 90s. These stocks are trading. Like this is real this time. This is not, I'm not saying value. Don't get me wrong. I have no idea about which ones will be the winners. But these, and I don't know about picking particular ones, but most of these are at all-time highs. These have been, shareholders have been flipped. Everybody's given up. But I don't know. I can't. These things are just trading on stories. This is like semiconductor stocks at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. So speculative fever is there.
yeah,
You know?
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, the large caps tech stocks are kind of consolidating.
Yeah.
Most of the indices just didn't do anything last week. They
And
just
again, this is why I own Tencent, as my Chinese proxy. Again, I'll hold a holding company. They're such good investors. So they're 15% shareholders in NIO. And, the odds of me predicting a winner in the car market, I didn't even get Tesla. So, there's something there to NIO just because Tencent's the investor, but who knows?
well, the investors' interest is it's real. This is why
Yeah.
we're seeing even companies like Ford and GM starting to move. They haven't done it much for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Not interesting to me. Well, the GM, I think it's because GM's got a license to some batteries in the car but and there seems to be more interesting companies. Whoa, what's that? Switchback, a blank check company formed to acquire.
They own the biggest network of charging stations in the US. So
Well done.
similar to Blink.
Mhm.
So that whole field is super hot, and it'll
Mhm.
probably stay so for a while.
Yep. What else we got?
The other big development from last week was the bounce in the so-called social distancing work from home stock. So many of the software names that had a big gap down on the news of a working vaccine. Last week, they slowly started to come back as it becomes clear that the vaccine is not going to be equally distributed and quickly to most of the rest of the world. And a lot of states and countries are just adopting more stricter lockdown measures. And henceforth, last week we saw quite a few e-commerce and other software stocks just perking up. Mercado Libre, Square, all of the names that shown earlier in the year are kind of coming back. And some of them are setting up, for example, PayPal setting up here. I think if it clears 195, we can see a push towards 205 in the next couple of weeks. So those two were the big themes last week. The bounce in social distancing stocks there, and the craziness in anything related to electric vehicles.
No, good call. Good call. You make your living swinging, and I mean that in your nightlife and your day life. So no one swings 24/7 like the Ivanator. So I count on you to catch me up on that stuff. Semiconductors and small caps is what I see. The outperformance of look at that with Intel in their index. So you got to understand how strong that is, because Intel is probably like 20% of that index. Right. So think how strong that is considering it owns Intel in there. So the semiconductors are not the same as they were for 100 years or 40 years.
AMD setting up again.
It's not just that. It's just this China problem is pushing everybody to Taiwan, and it won't be as simple as China going into Hong Kong as it will be Taiwan. because you can't just take over these semiconductors. The stuff's up here. So, you know, I'm reading as much as I can, but, you know, I just don't have an edge.
Which ones do you own?
I don't own the semiconductors because, you know, I'm just an old school person that, you know, semiconductors broke my heart so many times as a young investor. So I just own pure growth. Obviously, NVIDIA has been, you know, the platform of choice. But there's a lot of stuff breaking out. I think, you know, like biotech or you know, what I do with medical instruments, you can own the ETFs here. It's just very hard for a guy like me to dig down deep. I stick to the pure growth. But if you look at the small caps, they're starting to factor in the fact that within 6 months, people will be back working. I think they're off. I don't think we're going to be back at work 6 months from now, because like you said, the vaccine won't be evenly distributed. There's no transition plan. And every day you hear, it's like, forgetting the fact that Biden won the election, literally no help, you know, unprecedented. He's going to be coming into the White House cold, assuming that there is a transition, obviously, but hopeful of a smooth transition. He's still going to have no organization because there's no communication between the two. So I got to think there's another hiccup out there. But, you know, look at that small cap index. Like,
definitely very constructively setting up, consolidating here all time.
Semiconductors and, like, I mean, risk is on. So, you know, now, obviously, things look great always before things turn. But I'm just seeing no tip off other than maybe there's no short sellers left. I saw a chart that just showed short sellers. I don't have it to share, but and I'm lazy, but trust me when I say there is nobody short, right? Like, even if you talk about Bitcoin, no one's covering it. If you talk about, and again, I don't watch TV, but if you think about the speculation and SPACs and small caps, these are industries that are known, biotech, known for, like, if there's speculation in these things, IPOs, that you're near the end of you're at some kind of speculative top. But there's just so much cash and there's so many people. Retail's now 25% of investing. And I just find it too hard to call the trend. So you just got to go with the trend here.
Yeah, it's a very different environment. Even some people kind of compare it to the 1990s, but in the 90s, it was mostly US retail money. Right now, we have the whole world.
My friend Perth Toll started the Freedom Fund, which is like a international or an emerging market in FRDM, which is, it only has $100 million in it, but it's like a different way to play emerging markets based on the freedom, like how free they are. Taiwan's like a leading index here. And you look at that, like, you know, emerging markets are, you know, all-time highs. So, and these are the ones that are supposedly have the most freedom, right? So you know, Russia's down on the list, China's down on the list. This is all like smaller countries that have more, I forget how she structures it, but you can look it up on Koifin, which companies they own. But it's weighted heavily to more countries that have more, you know, fairer to women, you know, more less human rights violations. So that's an index that's really interesting that you see. And obviously with Trump losing and the right wing getting a setback, you know, the populist thing could be turning. You know, we could be getting away from populist. Turkey, even with Erdogan, is all-time highs. Or not all-time highs, sorry, but breaking out. Yeah. But that's just one aspect of Turkey. I've heard that some of the other indexes are doing well. So you know, it's hard to be bearish. I don't have any short ideas other than someone betting against the market here.
Yeah.
What is that, Tiger?
As you can see, these are some Chinese and Hong Kong brokerages, like discount brokerages similar to Robinhood, but they charge, it's free. And as you can see, the speculative frenzy is starting to kind of come back there as well.
Yeah.
Because those brokerages, they give people who live in Hong Kong and China access to US markets. That's why I'm telling you that this phenomenon is very different.
Oh, I've been telling you this forever. There's going to be 1,000 Robinhoods. And you can see Robinhood also tooling up. They broke up the co-CEO situation on Friday. So I think they'll surprise people. You know, I'm biased as an investor, but it sounds like they're going to go public sooner than people think. And then take a look at, what was I going to say that shows how retail, well, retail's involved and retail has money. Here's the other thing that was a super interesting comment, Ivan, is that retail, if you're a retail investor, you don't care what your day-to-day performance is, right? So you're more likely to buy those companies and put them away, and you don't have to like report your quarterly numbers. So retail investor is just a lot different than the institutional investor, and you go from 10 to 25% with an accommodative Fed, easy money, great global brands, and low interest rates. I don't know. Kids are getting educated.
Yeah.
Do you see anything on the short side? Do you see anything?
Nothing that interesting. But as I said, the indices in some of the mega cap tech definitely showing relative weaknesses of late. Probably they got a lot of money in them, and now that money is just looking for a little bit more risk, and people are kind of diversifying.
But in a way, that's bullish. If you can get
Yes.
people out of FANG without crashing the market and get this market more distributed, that'd be exciting. I'm all for that. You know, if we see Apple go sideways for 3 years and the market kind of inch up, that'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, money is not really leaving the market. I keep saying this. It's just rotating, and lately it's been rotating into riskier, more speculative areas. I don't know if that could be good or bad depending on your time frame of operation. I mean, if you're short-term trader, I guess it's great because you know you got to speculate in names that can move 100% in a week. But if you're kind of longer-term investor, maybe you catch some FOMO and then you buy at the top and then you get a quick 30% haircut.
Yeah,
it all depends on your style. But the markets are interesting. The markets are strong, and I think.
I'm just going to look at some other things. All eyes on the VIX is kind of crashing.
Any financials, or you just consider Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of financial?
I'm not bullish on financials. I think that just a nice rally and a downward, long-term downward trend. Interest rates kind of popped a little bit. I see no reason to get excited. More and more business gets taken away from them every day through unique through unique indexes, through unique platforms. Now you have SPACs, direct listings. These are all, the playbooks are being written without the banks heavily involved. But they've had a good year. If you think about $64 billion in SPACs and they take 2% of the money raised, there's been some nice free money in the SPAC business. So I don't know. That doesn't interest me. I think you got to stay in the stuff that has clear growth ahead of it. And if you want to speculate, there's some technical stuff that you're pointing out, and a lot of good traders are pointing out.
I'm surprised there's an ETF that just invests in SPACs, like someone who can pick good SPACs, maybe highly concentrated.
It's tough. It's tough. I think for the average investor to stick to high liquid names, but investing in SPACs is like investing in a late stage private company. I think it's, until the SPAC's announced and you know what company's rolling in, I just think there's a lot of, I call it slippage. I think everybody should try and speculate in one or two if they really understand the index. All right, so now you're flipping to solar, just continued strength.
Yeah, the best performing ETF year to date.
So it digested that huge move and is really potentially, oh my goodness, SEDG as well, Solar Edge.
Oh yeah, but it's not
I think it's a solar chip company, maybe.
Yeah.
First Solar looks strong.
Anything related to to clean energy has been incredibly strong. First of all, it's probably one of the worst performers among those.
Right, but I'm saying it's setting up nicely. I don't know. But again, on the weeklies, a lot of great setups. Look at Spotify on the weekly. It just looks really strong.
Yeah, it's building a new base. So.
Building a new base. You know, Farfetch held the gains. Held those huge gains. I think that goes much higher. Peloton still holding huge gains on the year and just kind of base. Pretty loose base, but holding the gains. Shopify had an incredible few years and is digesting the gains here.
It was a $20 stock. No.
Right. So, I mean, think about it. It's digesting those gains for the last 6 months. So this is all bullish action. I mean, these things should be, you know, again, we'll see what happens in the transition. I think there's a couple surprises out there. So we'll see how people behave, and if we get a couple shocks to the market. In the meantime, Ivan, I think we've been pretty clear. So let's call it a night. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Ivan, for doing this.
Thank you, Howard.
See you.